As an employer and a professor, my job has been to help people transition from an employee into management, and it's also been to help people to become owner-operators. For the most part, this video series is designed to inspire people to want to learn more about the topic. In general, the content for this is based upon my work experience and writing some textbooks on the matter, as well as what I teach my students.
So what perspective do you use?
I tend to like to approach things from a customer perspective and then look at how management might go about solving the problem. In general, I find that everybody's been a customer before, and as a result, they can pretty much relate to what we're talking about. And in general, whenever I do, that's how I like to present things, and that's how this video series is produced.
Why focus on rental real estate as the topic?
Typically I focus on rental real estate because people own cars, of course, and they also rent apartments. I just find that the operations that are in apartments are a little bit more broad and less technically complex than automotive repair. Generally I find that I like to have a YouTube episode that focuses on things that people can relate to and can be applied to other things.
So why focus on operations?
The reason we focus on operations is because there's lots of books on buying rental real estate and investing in rental real estate, but I got to tell you what, it's all academic until you actually have to run it, or you have to pay somebody else to run it for you. The fact remains is that after you buy real estate, you're going to have a lot of bills to pay. You're going to have taxes, you're going to have insurance, you're going to have upkeep. There's a lot of operational things to contend to in order to make actually any money at it. The biggest thing is that you also have an obligation to take care of the tenants. And you have to recognize that's your primary obligation, is trying to take care of the people that live with you. Really, the entire operations is really, it's about half art and half science. That's kind of one of the big parts of this.
So what do you mean by art and science?
Well, you have to make enough money to stay in business. That's part of the science. But in the end, you have to really be able to build working relationships with your tenants. And that's the art part of it. You have to be able to communicate, and you have to be able to essentially understand where they're coming from and understand what you need to get done so that you can stay in business to serve them tomorrow. The science is the operational procedures that make up the system. In general, we have to remember that half of what our tenants make goes to pay the rent, and the other half is used to pay all the other bills that they need to pay. And we have to try and basically try and give them something that they can afford, but also have to understand that the best way to serve them is to basically have procedures that are effective in helping them in all kinds of different situations. There's all kinds of things that come up in people's lives, and we have to be able to essentially try and at least understand, and when possible try and give a little bit of extra support if possible.
So is rental real estate an investment?
Yeah, sure, it's an investment. You have to have capital. You're going to have some type of return on the capital invested. You're going to have some elements of risk with it. You really need the business operation so that you're able to basically be able to balance or minimize the risk while at the same time trying to hit your planned profit targets. But all of that's just relative to other things that you can invest your money in. There's stocks, there's bonds, there's things called exchange-traded funds. All of these may serve your purposes better than what rental real estate is. Rental real estate, the problem is that you have control over everything. That's both a benefit and a risk. You control the money, you control the capital, you control paying the bills, you control everything. So it's the idea that unless you're paying somebody to do the management for you, it all rests on you, and it's going to take you some amount of time in order of your day to be able to handle all that. It might not be the equivalent of a full-time job, but you're always working on stuff.
Give me an example of how real estate is different from other investments.
Okay, well, let's put it this way. You could go and buy Google stock right now, and you would be a shareholder and own part of the company. And what that really means in many other investments is that you could go to the corporate offices and, hey, ask to use a stapler, or better yet, go ask an employee to go make photocopies for you. But the reality is that's not going to happen. In that kind of investment, yeah, you're an owner, but you don't have any real control of assets, or you don't have any responsibility for the company itself. Many times when you're in an owner-operator position, like with rental real estate, you're kind of responsible for everything. And so the biggest thing in that situation is you've got to really like the business. You've got to generally enjoy working with the people. You've got to be willing to essentially take and accept the moments that it's kind of not very exciting, it might be dull, it might be problematic, and also kind of enjoy the fact that you get to help people through their lives, so to speak. So whenever we're giving them a place to live and trying to help them through their lives, you've got to fundamentally like that. And so I guess that whenever I look at it different than other investments, is that, yeah, I like other investments that I don't have to do anything other than watch the company grow and maybe get a dividend. But at the same time, I also really enjoy the rental real estate because you're actually involved in it. You're responsible for everything, but at the same time, you're able to kind of make a little bit of a difference.